Hey everybody, it's Chris Jesty here with another episode of MRC Castings. Today we've got Pirate with us. Say hi, Pirate.
What's up, everybody?
And today we've got an extra special guest joining us from MRC High Command. Say hi, Warning.
Hello.
Our first player today is going to be NitroBurst. He's a new up-and-comer and he's been playing quite a bit lately. Go ahead and say hi, Nitro.
Hola.
And our second player joining us today is FWLGuard, also known as Luke. Go ahead and say hi, Luke.
Hello, hello.
Today we're going to try something different. We're going to do a live cast, and hopefully Pirate and Warning and I will be as entertaining as possible to keep you guys from snoozing. Even though Battletech is kind of not really that much of a spectator sport, we're going to try our best anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so to keep things moving here, we're going to go ahead and have the players talk about their lists themselves. That way they can give us some insight into the list construction and all that. And then we'll go ahead and get into the game and get started, because this might take a while. So go ahead and tell us about your list, Nitro.
Well, hi everyone. The concept of my list is mostly to provide fire support from a distance while engaging up close and providing several strategies slash tactics at the same time to the enemy player and having them decide, back them up against the corner and having them decide what to do first and make it tough on them in that way.
Well, that sounds like a pretty interesting strategy you got there. Now, one thing I noticed is that you've got a C3 Master and a C3 Slave on the Naginata and the Owens, respectively. Are those tied and linked together for anything in particular?
Yes, indeed. The Owens is tied to the Naginata.
Looks like we've got a third unit here.
And the Panther is as well. That is the actual change from the last time you faced off against this list. If I remember correctly, the last mech was a Jaeger. A Jaeger S, yeah. But I found it that it would be better to substitute it and take advantage of the C3 network a little bit better at range. So I added in a Panther C.
Well, let's see if you'll be able to utilize both of those in the C3 network. Luke, you want to go ahead and tell us about your list?
Before I get into my list, yeah, me too. I've been fighting against Nitro's list, so I kind of feel like I'm going against a final boss right now, right? I've been honing my list, and now it feels like we're getting to the end game. But um, for my list, I guess I just want to really play mechs that I've always enjoyed and wanted to make them relevant. So simple enough. You got the blackjacks as your long range, because the way we're fighting in Tukkayid Heat, it's going to be long maps. So I told myself I need that range with the two blackjack omni-mechs, hunchbacks. Again, favorite mech to use. Use them as guards for my range units, and then my lighter mechs. I'm kind of using them to harass enemy lighter mechs that come and harass me, or I try to be aggressive with them and push up and harass their backlines. So it's a flexible list, I find. A bit of everything.
Looks nice and balanced. You got two long-range snipers, you got two brawlers, and you got two fast boys.
That's the idea. Keeping it fast and then having the slow boys in the back.
So I heard you say that I've seen y'all playing a lot lately. So if y'all have been playing against each other, this is like two finely honed blades about to clash, if we're right.
That's what we're hoping.
I'm excited.
Well, I'd like to thank you guys for, throwing yourselves out there and letting us record and watch you for the whole world to see. But you guys have been doing great. You've been playing a lot of games with newer people and helping to build the community, and we really appreciate it, especially High Command and all the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved finding this community and just being able to play BattleTech with a bunch of other people.
Likewise, I'm just glad to be able to put all this stuff all this knowledge to good use.
All right, with that being said, we're going to have to give you two the boot so us casters can go ahead and watch your game while you two play. So go on now, get out of here.
Yes, sir.
Righto. Talk to you later.
Warning, what's your opinion on these lists?
I like about the list. You know, I have never had much success with C3. So I'm interested to see how that works out for him, because I feel like that can be kind of a pitfall. I mean, when it works great. But from what I've seen from players play, and from what I've played, vast majority of the time it doesn't work. You end up those light units you're hoping to get those, get that targeting for you, either ends up getting killed or they're out of position, and so it just doesn't end up working out. And then I am personally a fan of blackjack, so he's got 2 of them there, so that's a win in my book. I've used which one is it? The Omni A version of the blackjack quite a bit with the 2 alarm 20s. Back when I used to play more Innersphere.
And he's got these 2 brawler mechs and these Nodachis that just want to get up there and get up close and personal and mix it up with their TSM and melee weapons.
Yeah, and that's the ones, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but that's the ones that I would assume you want the C3 on. I know the Naganito, has that ERPPC and all those LRMs, so it is a fire support mech. But having faced several no Dashis, or I'm probably not saying it right, but those things are pretty nasty, and so I think that's the only clash I see in that particular list. It almost seems like he wanted to run the no Dashis and then built the C3 outside of that. But I could be wrong.
So I'm going to take a different stance of, while I do like that 3 World League guards list is balanced, those Nodashis they're brutal. I'm confused a little bit by the C3, because I mean the Naganita's got the LRMs, sure, and it's got the RPPC, sure, but just on a mech on mech, those Nodachis are just so brutal up close with triple strength mimer and pulse lasers. I think you could take just those 2 and a slab of armor like the Naganita, and it'll maul that other list. That said, these guys have been playing against each other a lot, so I'm sure there's more to it, and I'm missing something on those blackjacks or those hunchbacks.
Well, I almost wonder if the hunchbacks are an addition from fighting the no Dashis, because I say I fought several of those myself, right? Because they have that big hit with an AC-20. And make sure I got my correct ones here. Now, one of them is at least the 4G, but they, and hunchbacks for their weight have a lot of armor. They can trade. They may not be able to kill above their weight, but they can die slowly to allow other mechs to come in and finish the kill.
Gotcha.
Now, I played Luke's list recently, and those little hunchbacks can take quite a beating.
That's because you were attacking the front. I mean, 1 medium laser and you're internal on the rear.
Hey man, my behemoth can only move so fast.
Fair.
I have personal experience kind of with some mechs on both sides, so the no Dashis and the hunchbacks, of course, from playing Carbon so much.
I imagine you do have a lot of hunchback killing experience.
I do, and so the Venoms as well, because since that's an upgraded spider more or less. So I'm curious to see what he does with the Venom, how aggressive he's going to be with it.
Now, he's going to have to watch his heat with that thing. He doesn't have enough heat sinks to fire everything in one turn. He's got to be careful.
Does he have to, though? Because you could jump, fire, and then if you're clustered, you jump away to get your bonus, and that doesn't matter what your heat is at that point.
Now, I'm pretty sure Nitro is going to have some pulse lasers on at least one of those Nodachis to deal with these little jumpy boys.
Both of them do. I was looking at that. Difference is one is all pulse lasers, basically. The other is all pulse lasers with NER large and 2 MRM10, which I find to candidly be one of the worst weapons in the game, but...
I agree on those MRMs. I've had them used against me a lot, and they've been very lackluster.
I think it's mostly that penalty to hits, +1 to hit, so you're going to miss a lot. When you do hit, you're only hitting for 5 on average, and you have ammo to explode. So I'd almost rather like an SRM4 or an LRM10.
Mm-hmm. See, I almost wonder. Again, we're all speculating still here right now, waiting to see how they go. With that Venom, is he going to try to hunt down the other lights like the Owens and the Panther, or try to be a harasser in the backfield?
Now, I'd imagine with a 3-2 pilot, you would want to get in the backfield with them and just start kicking stuff. But that Venom would be neat to basically, hunt down that Panther and Owens to get rid of the C3. And doesn't it have ECM as well? It doesn't. There's so much accidental ECM that I figured something there would add it.
No, I don't believe he has any ECM at all on his side.
Well, it is clan invasion, I guess. There really isn't that much.
Yeah, it's not as prominent yet.
Now that Owens is in the C3 network, and it's surprisingly tanky for a light mech. It's got a ton of leg armor.
Yeah, that Owens is basically just a. I mean, it's got SRM4, but that's a just going up to call shots. Tag, Dark Missile Beacon, Beagle Active Probe. Well, that may have been because this is obviously a spotter. Because looking at the Panther with the the ERPPC, it doesn't have super fast movement, but a Panther is made to kind of hit from range anyways. So, looking a little more at these mechs, I almost think of course the Naginata and the Panther may just hang back, throw ERPPCs and LRM-15s downrange while the Owen spots for them. And I think the hard choice is going to be: do you try to deal with the Owens quickly before the no dashies come into play? So I'd imagine most times I've played no dashi, people tend to throw them up in your face as soon as possible.
Why wouldn't you? Although he's got 5-4 pilots, so
I'm sure he's hoping those pulse lasers will help offset that.
yeah, but that would be so disappointing. You run all the way up the field, get to use your sword, and you're on 3s to hit something that's in woods with a TMM of like 2 or 3 and you still miss. Although he could just be kicking with them too. Because 70 tons, that's what, 14 times 2 with triple strength, a 28 damage kick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so on triple strength, he's doing 16 with a sword or 28 with a kick.
And 28 with a kick is... Yeah, 28 will go internal, but it won't blow a leg completely off the blackjacks or hunchbacks.
Now, it appears they're having some sort of technical difficulties with the options here.
Now, luckily, Sam thought ahead of time, and he has the options we can always load from the Megamech settings.
While we're continuing to wait here, we can, looking at these guys' stats on the combat score.
Oh yeah, because they're both relatively new.
Both relatively new.
Well, new to MRC, we should say,
Yeah.
not necessarily new to Battle Mech, because they can both put up a pretty good fight.
That is correct. Yeah, but just looking here real quickly, it looks like NitroBurst. See, oh no, just from playing games, he is already up to 1,092. So he's already gained 92 combat score from his games so far.
Well, Nitro has been playing an awful lot lately.
Mm-hmm. And then FWLGuard, he's just gained 6 points, so he's at 1,006. So Nitro is seems like he may be on the rise quickly here.
You could say he's a new Rystar in the MRC. But seriously though, it's great to see newer players getting out there and putting those ranked games in.
And that's one thing I love about the combat score tracking. It's, it's a nice thing. It's not a required thing, but it is a really nice thing to see your progress over time, especially for people who are new, because it gives you a sense of, playing games and building up to something rather than just, I don't know how good I am. It's a nice little bar chart to help gauge yourself.
Yeah, it's great to track your progress as a player and, hone your skills and see where you stack up against everybody, especially globally. I try to get at least one game a week, maybe two if I can squeeze it in, just to keep that number moving, either up or down. I don't even know where I'm at currently.
1525.
Now I just need to play like another 25 games in 1 month to catch up to the guys on the top. Like Pirate.
And I'm of the opinion you should send in not every single game, because some games you're just screwing around and having fun, but even those, it's nice to send those in because then you're rating yourself as a mech commander in every situation, not just hyper competitive ones. But always make sure your opponent is cool with it, and you can just say, "Hey, do you mind if we send this game in before you start?" And most of the time, people will say, "Yeah, sure."
All right, looks like we finally got these technical difficulties resolved and we'll be able to finally get into the game. All right.
All right, we got some deployment happening here. So I'm watching the initial lineup of the Blackjacks on the hills, followed by Nitro getting some, initial plays with his mechs. The thing that confuses me, and I don't know about you guys, is on the first couple of turns on the long chase format like this, I like my mechs to be on the sides, like that right-hand side, so they can go zoom straight up the map. The way they're deploying here, they're going to spend the first 3 turns trying to get out of their own deployment zone. What do y'all think?
I think I agree with you. I think because there's so much ground to cover, I want to let especially my bigger boys have a chance to run up the side so they can maybe get on the hills that before you get to the big clearing in the middle. Get to those fire positions there. You may waste some movement going up and through woods, up and down hills, and
yeah, because the first 3 turns you're not doing anything. So realistically, you're trying to figure out where you want to be at the end of your deployment map. I mean, it's good practice to carefully get up there, keep a high target number and everything, but not really needed here.
Well, I think that's something that a lot of players, especially I've seen with Mega Mech games and even some in real games, because I get to watch a lot of games. Players don't put as much emphasis on positioning. And so I know, Pirate, you've especially learned in your time here playing BattleTech how important positioning is, and having your back to, say, a swamp or something like that, and giving your back to allow people to get stuck, or you're in the trees and they're not, or you have cover and they don't. Those type of situations.
Oh, absolutely. So, like, if I'm looking at Free World League's deployment zone there with Justy. And I guess he keeps flipping whenever somebody moves. But like, you know, some good sniping positions would be like those. Try not to sneeze all over the place. Like 1313 up there, which is a small hex next to some level 2 with woods, because then you're kind of protected on one side, but you can shoot downwind where his main force is coming up. But you know, when you can get a potential partial cover and you get trees and you get elevation, so you can ignore most of the cover of trees in the middle of the map. Those are just nice things. Yep, I see a ECM on that Nodachi 2K, so I guess there was one with ECM.
Unfortunately, it's on the same team that's got the C3 network, so it's not going to do Free Worlds League Guard much good.
Oops, you're right. But yeah, so in, there goes the Owens running upfield. But in Nitro's deployment zone, there is a wooded hex that's on elevation behind another hex, 1338 there. So if for some reason the game played out closer to Nitro's deployment, that'd be like prime Rifleman 7 or something territory with the ER larges or ER PPCs. However, the speed these guys are going, I think they're just going to go slam into each other in the middle of the map.
I say Nitro needs to be careful with that Owens. Another common, I guess, misstep I see a lot of players make is rushing their lights in before they have proper support. So you rush your lights in and trying to get back shots, cause enemies to turn around. But if you don't have your big boys there to support them yet, they just get chewed up.
Correct, because that Owens being upfield might be the only target they can take shots at, and even if they need 9s and 10s, it's the only thing they can shoot at. Well, your whole force, something's going to get through with that very fragile armor.
So the Venom and the Tarantula are jumping up the left-hand side of the map, while Nitro's forces are creeping up the right-hand side of the map. I expect to see a brawl in the middle with all those forests, with the sniper mechs sitting up on elevation and taking pot shots. But those hunchbacks are going to be way behind those jumpy mechs. There's too much terrain for them to keep up with them. We'll see what ends up going on in the middle in the grasslands map.
Yeah, especially with those no Dashis, because they're not slow, but they're not fast either. So the faster you can get them in a range and heating up to start slicing and dicing.
So I will say that I like what Deviant called the chase format here, where everything's kind of funneled into a middle kill box. But I kind of prefer the other orientation just because it fits better on my monitor. I mean, hex-wise, it's, you know, only like an extra 1 or 2 hexes wide, but it seems like it fits better, but also it seems like it plays like a much more traditional game. This one here, because you scroll up and down, I think once you do get to the middle, you kind of want to just stay there and just murder each other. But now they're playing probe, so there actually is a reason to hang back in your deployment zone.
Yeah, that makes sense why they're kind of moving up conservatively with some of their units. Because I was just going to comment on how the Hunchback was moving into. It looked like it was moving into cover up there. And again, that's another one of those units I assumed you want to have out in front, or at least prepared to get out in front to kind of meet the coming forces.
So this is the probe mission. So one mech is going to have to spend an entire turn on the enemy's home map sheet. And it doesn't necessarily have to get back, but you have to destroy or cripple a unit, and then all of your remaining forces have to exfiltrate off of your home map sheet.
And there we saw no dash. You move up again, making a beeline.
And those blackjacks, at least one of them has an ER large. and a light Gauss. The other has LRM-20s. So that Nodachi, like you were just talking about, it's now within shooting range.
Yeah, I believe both of them should be able to hit it.
The other Blackjack's just slightly out of range, but he hasn't moved the Owens yet. And I bet you he's going to move it so far up that unless he gets in those heavy woods, he's probably going to be in shooting range as well. And one really common change on the table versus in Megamech, as long as you're up 1 hex, I think you have to be adjacent and behind forests in order to get the cover. So that Blackjack, even though he has like multiple forests between him and the Nodachi, the only one that really matters is the one on the level 2 in front of him, and maybe the one on the level 1 in front of him, depending on who he shoots at.
So the only forest that should count is the one that's on elevation. If you're on a lower elevation, the only forest that will count for your target number is going to be the hex immediately in front of you. Since those Nodachis have clear terrain in front of them, they're fair game for these long-range pot shots. He's probably going to need something like 11s or 12s, but you still take that shot every single time, as long as you have the heat and or ammo to do so.
Or with that through armor critical for an engine hit or any ammo explosion. And I think, let me check here real
Ooh, there's
fast.
that
They have-
Owen.
Oh yeah, see that's kind of what I was talking about, because now, both those Blackjacks are going to unload on that Owen, so that's going to be a high number to hit. But if you can even take the shot, why not?
The Owens is just 2 hexes out of LRM range. That is one good thing about Megamech. You can just click field of fire and you don't have to count hexes.
Yeah, it looks like that Blackjack's got a little target-rich environment up in front of him.
Oh, no, it absolutely is. That Blackjack has a nice little buffet in front of him. Now, that's interesting. Nitro's shooting his own heavy woods. Well, I say his own. Is he trying to deny cover for someone running up at him?
Now, I think it might be multi-purpose. He's probably trying to get his TSM activated. That way you can get a little bit more speed to get across this map. And it's also to deny some of those jumpy boys some heavy woods to hide behind. If you might as well smoke them if you got them.
True.
Now, this is going to be a long game, and we should have a good amount of downtime, so we might as well take advantage of it and do a little bit of an interview here with our illustrious guest from High Command, Warning44. Now, the MRC started out with just you and Carbon, and you guys have taken it and run with it from a local community to now a global Discord community. Is there anything you guys want to say or any plans for the future?
Well, there's always plans for the future, and I don't think anything happened there besides people gaining heat. Sorry, I was your score screen there, but the main reason me and Carbon set out to even start this, because whenever we went to start playing tabletop BattleTech, where we live here in Middle Tennessee, there once was a community, but there no longer was. So no one was really getting together to play it. And so we originally set out to be very selfish and lure people in to play BattleTech with us. But along the way, we shifted directions several different times and made many different iterations, and we will continue to do that as well. But I guess the grand scheme is just to try to get all these distant and small fractured communities talking to each other and interacting with each other and playing games with each other, because that's what it seems like BattleTech is. There's a bunch of all these little tiny communities all doing their own thing, and if they would just talk to each other, then they're like, oh, hey, we really enjoy hanging out with each other because we both like BattleTech.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the major things that attracted me to the MRC to begin with, is that it's a nice standardized set of rules that everybody can just jump in on. We all know what the plan is. You just pick a MUL and pick a BV and you're set. Get into the game as fast as possible.
It's also nice from a new player perspective just to have any sort of guidance, because I've gone out to see the Knoxville guys and they're pretty awesome, but the East Knoxville guys in Morrisontown play very different than the Central Knoxville guys, who play pretty close to what MRC is, and then there's also a narrative group that wants to do quirks and campaigns, building around in Nashville, which is different than the way that they're playing, elsewhere. So just having some sort of rock of stability to go, oh, this is one way to play, and I don't need to, spend an entire afternoon on one game. I can get a game in the same I would like we're doing with a Mega Mech here in about 2-3 hours. That is a nice thing, because otherwise Classic is so intimidating. I probably would have never gotten into it if I had to learn, about narrow profile cockpit ejections and what happens when your mech warrior spits his coffee out when he gets hit. So we appreciate all y'all have done to make it accessible.
Well, it's definitely been a community effort, and it continues to be. And so, we try to listen to what people in the community are saying and doing, and luckily everyone's been really cool and wanting to help out. So, and now if I can just work out the swag, so Jesse will be happy.
Oh yeah, swag is where it's at. I mean, I've already got my own shirt. I just need some, business cards and maybe a hat or something, and I can go game store to game store preaching the ways of MRC.
Yeah, I need to get those sent out to you.
All right, back to the game. I see the Blackjacks are setting up their sniper nest to guard their home base. The Tarantula and the Venom are yet to move, but the Hunchbacks are also lurking like little alligators. Now, I'm guessing those Hunchbacks and Blackjacks being kind of slow, they're just there to guard, and the Venom and the Tarantula are going to be as probing units.
Yeah, I would agree. I really think those Hunchbacks are there just to give some muscle to things that want to try to come up and brawl. Because although the Hunchback is a medium mech, whenever people see it, there is that moment of, oh wait, hang on, because it is such an iconic mech that most players know.
I don't know if you can see it, but that Owens did a really unique surge forward turn and then dive back a little bit into the heavy woods and turn again to get its modifier up to a 3. So if he's a mod 3 in heavy woods 5, I don't know if those light woods around him will count. But there's a good chance that he's probably on 13s to those Blackjacks, even though they're in medium range. Oh, yes. So from that North Blackjack, there is one intervening light woods, which would be the one that the Owens is adjacent to. So that Blackjack is, if we do the numbers, he ran. So he's a gunnery 3. He ran, so he's on 5. Intervening woods 6. 7, 8, 9 for the Owens TMM. 10, 11 for the heavy woods. So he's pretty well protected. And then 12, 13 for medium range. So he's actually, it's 13s. He's safe.
Yeah, it goes to show that using as much movement as possible to get to where you want to go, even if you're only moving 5 hexes, but you've got 12 movement, you might as well use up that extra 7 movement to get your TMM up if you can. It makes a big difference. Like right now, he can't even get shot at. I'm curious to see what he does next with both of those Nodachis.
I imagine he's probably going to run into those light woods and then turn and position them so his next turn he can get further upfield. Like maybe to those heavy woods northeast of the Owens.
Yeah, he's probably likely going to move up to these light woods right here and set himself up for another jump to move up next turn. Thinking ahead, sign of a good player.
So this is when we need to be like a weathercaster and just be able to move our hands around on the screen.
Maybe one day, we'll have the fundage to, at NashCon one year, we'll have you and Jesty there in your suits in front of the green screen.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. If we're not too busy playing, that is.
So we need to, if we ever do get a green screen, we need to go find a Jade Falcon player to stand in front of it so it looks like most of his body disappeared since it's all green.
Well, we've got no shortage of those laying around.
Soul, if you're listening, we have a job for you.
Yeah, that's exactly who jumped into my mind when you said that.
It's either Soul, Mitchell, or Shadow Seraph on the short list, and there are many, many more Jade Falcon players.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Jade Falcon was in the most recent territory warfare. I think I defended against them, if I remember correctly.
I love you, Ghost Bears, but I'm glad there's more than just chonky Ghost Bear pile.
Well, the only reason we were doing so well was because the North Carolina boys. They would just come in once a year and wreck everything, and then peace out for a year.
Oh, look at that Nodachi. It's gone upfield without any cover.
Ooh, yeah, no, I don't like that. I don't like having a unit out there in the middle of no man's land exposed for absolutely no reason. He won't be able to get any rebuttal shots on anything. Maybe the Tarantula or the Venom if they jump closer, but I mean, he's going to need terrible target numbers if so. I'm not a fan of that move.
Well, and they are in long range of those blackjacks, so I was trying to do the math in the head, and I'm still getting 12s from that blackjack, so I think he'll be okay, but we'll find out. Oh no, it's medium range for that Light Gauss and ER, or at least the Light Gauss. That Light Gauss has a... What is the range on that Light Gauss? That thing is... Good night.
Yeah, that range is quite far. I was not expecting the Owens to be in medium range. Good lord.
That's one of the few weapons that can actually outrange LRMs and the like. So
That'd be why Greek Fire was talking about it could be real spicy to spam like Gauss rifles, but pretty masochistic.
Man, that seems really long. Is that longer range than a standard Gauss rifle?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's Sarna being handy at all times. It's about 2 hexes longer range than the Gauss at medium and 3 hexes longer at long.
And here comes up the other Nodachi, right next to his buddy. Target-rich environment, I guess. Still don't like that play.
He's making a beeline with both those Nodashis to that enemy scout over there.
So an interesting thing about this mission is, just for anybody that hasn't looked at the rule packet yet, and we do encourage you to submit your list soon, is you have to get to the other player's map. You have to end your turn there. Don't leave their map hex, their home map. Spend a whole turn there. Then you've got to book it all the way back to your home edge. The scout doesn't have to survive, which I think is one thing to consider. Probably shouldn't have said that too loudly. But once you spend an entire turn in the other person's map edge, you still have to kill something or cripple. But once you've done those two things, all of your units have got to get off your home edge. So if you send really slow boys up after turn 7, you better turn them around because they're not going to make it off if you don't.
Yeah, it'll be real interesting to see how far into the map each player puts their units, knowing that they're going to have to pull them all the way back to their side and exfiltrate off their edge. Going to lead to some interesting dynamics later on, I'm sure. But they both have some objective runners, so we'll see where they go. I'm real interested to see where that Venom goes. I'd also like to see Luke move those hunchbacks up, maybe get them split, one on the left, one on the right. That way they can kind of play goalkeeper and keep those Nodachis and that Owens honest and outside of his map sheet.
It'd be such a shame if they hunchbacks were in their current positions, and that Venom would be a real good one to be jumping and scoring the probe. But it'd be a shame if Luke were to zip into those other way around. That Owens for Nitro. If Nitro were to zip into those hexes 14, 16, just south of the blackjack, but behind those 2 level 1s, and go prone right there, somewhere in there. Because then you go prone, and then just kind of do some effery around that corner and score for one of the objectives.
Yeah, very true. Although that Owens is not a very skilled pilot. I think it's got like a 6 piloting or something. So maybe if we can get him behind that level 2 to block most of the fire and generate as much TMM as possible, that would probably be more ideal.
Correct. So there's your free pro tip: is going prone next to level 1 might be able to hide you for a turn or two to stay in the other person's hex for a while, or map sheet. You'll need a good pilot in order to get up, though, because you're going to be running and you can't rely on careful stand, otherwise you'll just get blasted to pieces.
Whoa, hang on, what's this? The Naginata only needs 4s across the board to hit that poor little tarantula? Oh man, that C3 network is coming into play in a big way.
That's brutal.
Yeah, when you're a small fast boy like the tarantula or the venom, you can't be giving up such low target numbers like that, or you're just going to get obliterated.
So Tarantula's got 7 armor all around on everything and 6 internal structure. So if any of those PPCs hit, and he has a decent enough roll on the cluster table for those LRMs, it's going internal. So before he explodes, fun fact, the Tarantula was made with 8 jump jets. I don't know why that number's so low if he can't jump, but it was made specifically for moving in heavy terrain and difficult to move terrain. So it's a scout mech. It has a lot of jump jets. But did he walk it? No, he jumped 7, so he's got a mod 4. Cool.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. If he jumped for 4, his base should be well over 4 because the Naginata's gunnery is not 0.
Oh, you know what? It's because we didn't read it. He was shooting at the woods.
Okay, yeah. So we're all over here furiously looking through notes.
Pays to read. Too bad we don't do that.
Yeah.
It's not a glitch in the Matrix. He just really hates Mother Nature.
And it's shooting a lot of woods.
Well, why do you think that is? Because I have an opinion.
Well, offhand, my only thought there is he's not worried about having cover, and he's trying to prevent cover from, the light mechs coming over, because he's obviously already has his sniper mech there on the hill with the Naginata, right? The Panther is in a similar position, although maybe a little out of position right now, but could be in a similar position again with the ERPPC still on that C3 network. So you have your 2 sniper mechs sitting up there waiting for whatever to come close.
It's a good theory.
Yeah, he may be also thinking about the return trip. The unit's got to get to his side of the map, but he's also going to have to get that unit off the map entirely eventually. So the less cover it has for the return trip, the better, I guess. Yeah, I'm interested to see what he does with that tarantula. I mean, he can maybe get it across the line next turn if he's got enough movement, but there's really no woods or cover to speak of, realistically.
But I think if you can make it across that line because of the jump that mech has, and there's so many hills and woods, you could easily stick it in a hole for a turn, and it would take Nitro maybe a turn or 2 to try to get to it if you can't intercept it there with the no diachis, which kind of looks like what he's trying to do right there.
Well, so Free Worlds League, he's putting his Tarantula next turn in hexes 0731 or 0630. They're just south of the Nodachi southwest, like 3 hexes up there. So there's some woods there in that triangle. He's going to get in one of those 2 woods because that's exactly 8 hexes away, so he can make that. Then his next one is going to be further down into, the woods about 8 hexes south of that. So I could see him doing that. So if Nitro is good at planning for that, he kind of knows that's where that tarantula could be going. and he can start planning an ambush.
You know, I'd be worried about putting that tarantula in those woods right there. Those Nodachis can just run up and kick him for an ungodly amount of damage at not needing too high of a number, because they are pretty good piloting skill pilots. So, I mean, unless he's feeling, you know, dangerous, like he can dodge those Nodachis' kicks, I wouldn't go in those woods where I am.
His spidey senses are tingling.
You know, I still think that with that venom, instead of pulling it back, I may have gone after the Owens.
Yeah.
It was already kind of out there, and if I could get into the same woods as the Owens, then you'll have to survive a SRM4 shot, but you know, 4 medium pulse lasers.
You can do it.
Yeah, that Owens isn't really much of a threat with a high piloting and gunnery skill. I'd like to see him jump in and take some shots and then jump out, do a little hokey pokey.
So my theory of why he was shooting the woods, besides for tactical advantages like you mentioned, Warning, is he has to get his TSM up, and if you're going to shoot something, you may as well be bored and just start shooting trees.
That's very true.
So player's going to play, I think, was the real reason there.
All right, we're making some progress. That one of those hunchbacks is moving up. Hopefully we can get him into a position to where he can, you know, gatekeep his portion of the map and keep that Owens out. I'd like to see the Owens either maybe try and hide, drop down below level 1 like we mentioned earlier, or go stand next to that level 2. Although with that hunchback in its current position, that could be dangerous. But then again, the Owens is pretty quick. You never know.
I'm agreeing with you there. The only other side of that coin is if he can get his Owens up there before the hunchbacks can get in position, then he only has half the units he has to deal with, those blackjacks, which are, you know, standing sentinel.
Yeah, as it stands now, that Owens has a clear goalpost in its sights. It can just run right up and get behind this level 2 and get early start on the probe portion of this mission. It's possible he can get away scot-free, especially if he drops prone. He can dodge quite a bit of fire there. Yeah, I'd like to see him take the initiative here and get on the board early.
Oh, talking Nitro? Oh yeah, I love his aggressive playstyle.
And so just kind of offhand right now looking at the map, it almost seems like Nitro has more map control. Because it seems like he owns not only his side of the map, but also the center map right now.
Yeah, those Nodachis paired up are threatening the entire middle map board, and that Owens, with giving the targeting data, means that even though 2 of his units are still on his map sheet, they can threaten that middle map as well, and maybe even poke into Luke Free World League's map as well.
But no, you're right, Warning, because if that tarantula moves where I think it's going to move, he's got 2 Nodachis on top of him. He's already denying all of those heavy woods and cover behind him, and he can still threaten the tiny little bit of woods south of the tarantula. And if he doesn't do much, he's got the Owens already being annoying, where the Panther and Naginata can smack him in the middle. Yeah, by sheer weight of volume and the way he's positioning, yeah, he's got 2 map sheets worth of control.
Well, looking at the hex count, the tarantula can make it to Nitro's map this turn. He's got enough movement that I think he can get there and maybe then some, either turn a little bit or drop prone. It is a quad mech after all, and that's one of the little tricks you can pull off with him.
He can do it because it's 10 hexes, 11 for going through the light woods, and then 1 to go prone. So yeah, I didn't think about that. That's absolutely true. And then he'd have, what is it, +2 to be shot at from range?
Yeah, I think it's +1 to shoot at a target if they're prone and you're not adjacent to them. If you are adjacent, I think you get a -1 or a -2 because they're an easy target because they're sitting there on the floor right in front of you. Just got to worry about those Nodachis swinging around and getting rear shots on you. They do have quite a bit of pulse lasers.
True, and they're overheating, so don't they get a penalty to shoot even though they have TSM, right?
Yeah, at 9 heat, they're taking a -1 or a +1 penalty to their shooting numbers.
All right, there goes one Nodachi just to start bullying to say you can't sit with us.
Yeah, I'm a little curious as to why he moved that Nodachi there. That tarantula hasn't moved, and it's definitely not going to stick around with a big angry Nodachi adjacent to it.
He's running out of initiative sinks because he wants to do something with that Owens, but he wants to keep one of those Nodachis ready to go.
Yeah, this turn's coming down to the last few units needing to be moved. I think Nitro has one initiative, and it's currently on Luke / FWLGuard to move. So he's going to have to move either that tarantula or that spider now.
Yeah, I think I would almost move the Owens early, even if you just made the big loop again this turn, just so you could see what was going on with that tarantula. You know, have your Nodashis kind of react to it, or even your Panther in the back there kind of react to whatever it's going to do.
So, fun fact on these Nodachis as well. They might be the first mechs to use a sword, and it was specifically to counter the hatchets used by the Federated Commonwealth. And they also tested the triple strength Myanmar for the Drax. So they really are the first samurai mechs, but it explains why all of them basically have TSM.
Oh, that's a nice little history lesson there, Pirate. I love these little bits of lore that explain how and why a mech was designed, and the package all makes sense now.
Well, the other history stat is if you were going to get your head chopped off, make sure you pick the hatchet, not the sword, because it takes less swings and the executioner misses quite a bit, so kind of want to make their job easy.
Well, now, that's something I didn't know. Where exactly did you learn this from, Pirate?
Pirates have to know these things. That does come up, unfortunately, in that culture of lifestyle.
Okay, now, I definitely do not agree with this choice. That second Hunchback is still hanging out way back in the forest, unable to fire at anything. Don't like this one bit.
Why would you not move that Hunchback unless you were afraid of being able to retreat once you do score?
I mean, it's still really early in the match. I honestly don't think there's any reason not to move it up this early. There's plenty of time to get it off the map as of right now, assuming it's intact and can still move, later on. I'd just like to see it move up a little bit so it can at least threaten this portion of his map.
Oh, we have the play. You called it, Justy. Oh, he's not prone, though. Why didn't you go prone?
Ooh, yeah. Not going prone and not jumping worries me. He is definitely at risk where he's at now. Maybe he doesn't know about dropping prone. He's never had it done against
We'll
him.
have to ask him in the interview.
Well, this does put him in prime position to score. He's got plenty of options on where to run to next turn. He just has to survive this next turn.
Not only that, he's a jumping mech, so he could kind of jump to those woods further south. Oh, what?
Yeah, that's a very confusing move. I'm not sure why he's pulling that Owens back. Maybe to help get targeting information for the Naginata and the Panther, I guess. That's a head scratcher.
Probably. That Owens is coming back, so maybe the Nodachis are now going to be the runners.
But I think that puts the Nodachis, because they won't have as high as movement. And I realize they have armor, but if they have both those blackjacks shooting at them, that's going to be a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's very true. The Naginata is not an Owen, so it's not going to generate the same TMM, but it does have the armor, because it is a 70-ton mech. If he runs them both up, I mean, yeah, maybe one will go down or get legged or something, but the other one's bound to get the data, and then he's completed the first portion of the objective. It's showing off some flexibility in this list here.
Well, the Blackjacks have 9s and 10s to hit, it looks like, and the Venom has moved up. It's probably not going to hit. There's too much intervening woods, but maybe he's decided to start, chasing and seeing what he can do now that Nitro is kind of out of position. Now, the tarantula pilot is named Kung Pao, so we know that there's some cheek there. And the second Nodachi is moved up into, is that medium? Yeah, medium pulse laser range.
Yeah, I'm definitely worried for that little tarantula. That's a lot closer than I would like to be to a Nodachi.
Yeah, but 5, overheating, 6. He's got a mod of 10. It's around 10s. Well, 8s. Yeah, I guess it's not too bad. 8s and 10s. And like we talked about, that tarantula does not have a lot of armor. And in the rear, it's even worse. So one medium pulse laser will go internal on the rear's torsos.
Yeah, he's also got to worry about incoming fire from that Naginata and that Panther. The Nodachi's only one threat of probably 3 to 4 units are going to be firing at him this turn. That's a lot of lasers and bullets to dodge.
And can the Panther even get a shot off though with the hills?
He's on level 1, so I think so.
Yeah, that Panther definitely should have a line on him. He's on level 1, and the only thing in between him and the Tarantula are only level 2s. So unless there's a level 3 hex in between and to completely block the Panther's line of fire, he should have it because it stays at the height of the mech until the very last hex before getting to the Tarantula, and then it drops. So he shouldn't have cover on the Panther.
That would make sense. And there's no intervening woods, so that's the cool part in Mega Mech. You can hold Alt and click between 2 mechs, and it'll tell you what the covers and shots and other things are. And you can do that between 2 hexes before you move there. But don't spend 10 minutes trying to figure out one shot.
Yeah, please don't.
It does look like the both of the blackjacks are going to shoot at that Nodashi up north there, though.
I think I said 10s and 11s, but glad I'm slightly wrong. 9s and 11s. But the Nodashi has a lot of armor, so like you said, it'd be interesting to see if he caused a PSR, though, because then he'd be a lot less mobile and that Venom could jump him. Oops, shootings happened.
Oh, all right. Let's get into it.
Naginata ERPPC hits the center torso, and also some LRMs look like they crit a foot, and quads, that's not good because they have lots of actuators that can be hit and rack up damage.
Oh no, the Tarantula fell. Oh, you got to be kidding me. He's got a really skilled pilot on that thing. Needs a 3, rolls a 2. That is unfortunate.
Now, that raises the question. He is still there, so he still just has to spend another turn in the enemy map sheet. But can you probe while in force withdrawal? He's not in force withdrawal, I don't think, but...
Now, I don't think you can complete objectives if you're in forced withdrawal. And in this particular situation, it would not matter because he would have to move 1 hex closer to his map sheet minimum, which would take him out of Nitro's map sheet.
Gotcha. So he's not in forced withdrawal yet. So if he were somehow to get up, but he can't jump to use those jump jets.
Yeah, he's got to run this turn, so his options are limited. But he's still got a lot of moves. We can get to quite a few little hidey holes if he really wants to.
Yeah, I think the move would be try to stand up and run down that left side of the map.
Yeah, if he can get to this hex with the forest right here and drop prone.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was thinking. That wooded section there. Try to get some partial cover and some woods.
Well, and you better go prone, otherwise that Nodachi will come directly south with his TSM, be a level above you, and that sword is going to be on the punch table.
The sword usually rolls on the full body location normally, right?
I think it's like a kick at that point. Although, would you want to use your sword, or would you want to kick and do 28 damage with -2 instead of -1?
Oh, that's fair. And that's assuming that the tarantula goes prone. which I'm not sure if Nitro knows to do that or would want to, given that he gets a bonus to shoot at him in that case.
No deny movement.
Oh, wow. Now that is a solid move. Blocking play, sometimes losing initiative isn't all that bad. Maybe the tarantula will be stuck out in the open now.
Is it though? Because he could still get up, turn, and go behind the Nodachi, and as long as he's one hex further south, then he's out of sword swinging range.
Yeah, FWLGuard is definitely in a conundrum here. He's got to get a TMM so that way he's not easy pickings for any of these mechs. He can get out of melee range of that Nodachi. It would be ideal if he could get back to that hex with the forest that we pointed out earlier, but I don't know if he's got the movement to make it there since he can't jump currently. Either way, this positioning on this tarantula is going to be huge for his game this round.
Yeah, I mean, if you could somehow get up, turn, and go to that hex 0137, it's just like behind the Nodachi and one down and go prone. The Nodachi can't see you with his pulse lasers then.
Well, now that his Nodachis are split up, I wonder what Nitro's going to do with that other Nodachi that's to the north. If he's going to continue his attack run or make another U-turn like he did with the Owens earlier.
He's maybe going to go up to those woods to the left of the Venom and get a really high target number and not die, and then the next turn do something in those woods further to the left. So I think he's going to try to get to those woods near the Venom, and then the next turn he's going to get to that big forest further to the left on the edge of the map, so he can have lots and lots of nice cover.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that forest to the left in FWLGuard's map is probably the best spot to be, especially considering how far away those hunchbacks are. Warning, how do you feel about the current game state? We've had some interesting moves, to say the least, so far. I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on the current game state.
I think we've seen some interesting plays so far. The Owens kind of running back and forth is interesting. I would have assumed you either want to keep it in that forward position for that C3 to get those long range shots, or use it much like the tarantula, try to get over, maybe get your probing done and get back.
Do you think maybe he was waiting to take out the scouts and then make a mad dash himself?
Now, that could be, but right now there still is the Venom over there, and that Venom, in my opinion, is a great scout hunting loadout. You know, it's a 8-12-8 movement with 4 medium pulse lasers. So even if you don't jump and you just run with it, you can get close enough with those medium pulse lasers, and it's I believe it's a gunnery 3, right?
3-2, yeah. So he's got amazing piloting skills on top of his gunnery.
So that's to me, that Venom should be hunting down that Owens, you know, taking care of that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. The Venom's very dangerous, but so are those Nodachis, and you don't want to be jumping too close to those Nodachis to where they can light you up with all their medium pulse lasers.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Nodachis are super scary, even for a heavy mech.
Okay, now I've got to say I do not like this positioning for these hunchbacks. The one in the back is doing absolutely nothing. It's not threatening the map. It can't get anywhere in a hurry. It's going to take multiple turns for it to get anywhere. I like to see the front one move up to here, and maybe the one in the back move up to here or here. That way it can cover some of this section of the map, and it's not just the blackjack doing all the heavy lifting here. You need to deny the middle area of that map.
Yeah, I'd almost like to see him up there in the woods, even, or being aggressive.
Anywhere closer to the middle map would be better than where they're at right now, currently.
And even up there where the Venom was, I think would be, in those woods, would be an acceptable spot. Because now they're starting to tangle with no Daiashi there, which is what, two hunchbacks on one no Daiashi I like those odds. So
And those are gunnery 4 hunchbacks, so even with precision, if that Nodachi can get a 3 or 4 modifier and those hunchbacks have to run from their current position, it's still pretty high numbers. Hey, look at that tarantula.
Oh wow, he made it. That is probably the best spot to be. If he dropped prone, unfortunately, he's gonna get shot right in the rear arc.
Correct, and if that Nodachi torso twists, he can shoot his whole body, not just the arms.
which is what he did right there.
Hey, there you go.
The saving grace for the tarantula there is probably partial cover and the woods.
12s. On pulse lasers, he needs 12s. Nice.
Now, 12s are a terrible number to shoot at, but you have to take that shot if you're Nitro. I mean, you never know. You might get lucky. You got to try and stop him from completing the objective, if possible, because you've turned around and committed so much of your forces to this.
And he still needs to cripple or kill a mech, though, before he can retreat.
That's true. The probe portion is only the first of 2 parts of this beginning half of the mission. He needs to kill or cripple something as well.
And Luke is actually in a great position to cripple someone because that no Dayashi, his one that's really far forward there. At this point, you almost want everything converging on it. You want to be moving those hunchbacks in towards it. The blackjack's taking shots at it. Almost have that venom try to poke at it from behind.
Yeah, and this turn, only the blackjacks are going to be able to get a shot. And more than likely, the Nadachi's going to go up into the left here. And those hunchbacks aren't going to be able to punish this at all. They don't have the movement to make it there. Maybe they'll be able to get in range for a quick pot shot. And the Venom's going to have to come up and try and do as much damage as possible to the rear or side arc. That way you can get as much fire on this Nadachi to try to get it to fall or be crippled as possible.
Yeah, I think the hunchbacks are out of position because you really want everything converging on that no dash because it's all by itself up there, much like Nitro is doing to the tarantula or was.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, one of the 12s hit on the rear arc on the tarantula. That medium pulse laser destroys the center torso rear of that poor little tarantula. That mech is now dead and out of the game.
That denies him the probe data, doesn't it?
Yeah, that is correct. So that means Luke does not have the probe data.
I hear lots of screaming from outside all of a sudden.
Yeah, that means Luke's going to have to get another unit to cross that middle map and get the probe data eventually if he want to get to the objective points.
And
that's a great example of going prone. I know Pirate himself has used it against me before.
hey, get upfield.
Yeah, so that tarantula being destroyed means that Nitro is currently up on one of the first 2 objectives. He just needs to get the data now, which shouldn't be too difficult for him.
And that Nodachi took a couple shots, but nothing to really write home about.
Yeah, still a lot of misses on the no Dayashi. Again, I'd really love to see both those hunchbacks just storming in on that thing. Get in there, get that AC-20 running.
Not going to be able to if he moves. The Nodachi goes north and to the west because they can only move 6.
Yeah, I think that's just where I think me and Jesse are in agreement there. They're kind of they've been out of position this whole game. They should have already been up here on the front somewhere. And you can still keep them in cover, keep them prone behind a hill or in some woods if you're worried about long range shots. But they need to be there to be the wall.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Those hunchbacks need to be doing something. Right now they're doing absolutely nothing, and the blackjacks are having to carry the entire weight of punishing this Nodachi, and they're just not able to do it. Even standing still, their target numbers aren't very good.
If I was to ever play against somebody and they have 2 hunchbacks and they're prone behind a hill, I don't care what the rest of the strategy is. That is an intimidating move. That's kind of like, I'm just waiting for you, and then I'm just going to get up and run up and just maul you.
It's not a good feeling. I can tell you from experience.
I bet you do have some experience fighting hunchbacks.
Now, if I remember correctly, Carbon, who happens to be a hunchback lover, is your brother. Is that correct, Warning?
That is correct, yes.
Now, one thing to note, the blackjack moved back from its little perch up front to behind cover. I don't think I like this move. You need to be getting as good of shots as you can with your snipers right now, and having him sit in that forest is probably your best bet.
Yeah, and again, the Owens is running backwards.
He may just being wary of overextending, keeping his forces together. You know, not a bad idea.
That's a very good point.
Now, I'm assuming that Luke is going to run his spider down to here into these woods somewhere for cover. He's got to get on the other side of the board to score, and the spider is really his only bet. The hunchbacks and the blackjack are too slow. More than likely, he's going to go right up in here to get some cover. And Nitro can also move up his Naginata. I'm pretty sure he'll be able to just get to these woods next turn and be perfectly safe. Maybe take some pot shots from the blackjacks from medium to long range, but he should be perfectly fine to score next turn with his Naginata. Or, I'm sorry, Nodachi. My bad.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see what those hunchbacks do.
Now, is one of those hunchbacks a swayback, or are they both rocking an AC-20? I'm not too sure. I know that there's a couple that can reach out and touch some things with like light PPCs and stuff.
I'm pretty sure both variants he brought both have AC-20s.
They do. It looks like the only difference between them is one has double heat sinks and the other doesn't.
Yep, so one is the classic 4G that everybody knows, and the other is the 5N, which is basically the newer 4G.
But it has better reception.
Yeah, it's looking like he's running 1 ton of precision and 1 ton of regular ammo. Well, how do you feel about that mix? Each ton of precision is only giving him 2 shots, which is a little worrying.
I'd almost rather have seen that be just 2 tons of precision, because if you can get 4 precision shots with a hunchback, it's kind of paid for itself, versus 7, where 3 of them are going to be at +2.
Now, Nitro has some options here. He can run over to those forests, drop down to level 1, run up behind that hill, and drop prone. I mean, he's got plenty of safe little spots he can go hide in and be perfectly safe from return fire this turn.
Now, watch this be, we talk about this and they go, what? You can go prone? I mean, I'll admit, until Deviant used it against me, I'd have never thought of it.
I see. I had the pleasure of he's known as Lee Infield on the Discord. He's a very good player, and every time I play him, he has some little knowledge he shares by using it against me. So.
Well, that's the best way to learn, is getting your butt kicked by something. That way you know how to utilize it later.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah, I guess I'm just shocked because I'm used to hunchbacks being used in a very specific fashion, which is usually extremely aggressive. So seeing them be so reserved here, I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, just not what I'm used to seeing out of a hunchback.
Well, I mean, everybody plays different. He's being extra conservative with those hunchbacks, and I guess I can respect that to an extent.
Well, I'm in the same boat with the Nodachi. Like, the last time I played a Nodachi was Comrade in Twilight Heat, and he basically said, I'm gonna run a sword into that longbow, and ran upfield for 4 turns and slammed my head with a sword. So seeing them not just immediately try to gank those blackjacks is interesting.
We've seen a little more reserved play style here, and that could be because of the mission, because I believe this mission, you want to get your units off the field after you have the data, right?
Yeah, that's right. The name of the game this time is keeping your mechs alive.
And there's no ejection, so you can't just go poof. You have to actually get them off the field, and I'm concerned with that Naginata, the way it just moved up, because it only has a run of 5. So whenever he chooses to run off the field, if he had a straight line with no cover, he's at 3 turns to get off the field from his current position. With woods and elevation changes, you're bumping that up to like 8, and we're already on what, turn 4?
Yeah, there's a lot of game left, so he just has to be careful that he doesn't overextend and make it so that he gets past the point of no return with any of his units, especially that Naginata, because it's a big, slow sniper. I can understand wanting to get it closer to actually bring its weapons to bear since that Tarantula's dead, but he's got to be careful. He can't leave it out there too far away from his board edge, or he's not going to make it off the map.
It's one thing. I think it was Snowy used against me recently, was getting up on a hill with a Warhawk with a bunch of ER large lasers, and despite all that terrain and all that woods in the middle of the map, once you're on top of terrain, that reduces it a lot, and those ER large lasers can really get upfield easily.
Yeah, the way line of sight works when you're up on a hill is to the benefit of the person who's up on the hill. It'll stay at your elevation and then drop at the very last hex before getting to the mech. And whatever is in that hex is the only cover that you get if there's trees there. If you're behind a level 1 hill, you don't even get partial cover if they're up on a hill. So little sniper nests like that are very valuable.
I do like to an extent that we're using pre-made maps though, so it's not necessarily as semi-predictable. Like, this feels a little more organic. Oh, and Nodachi went exactly where we said it was going to go.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, with that, the one blackjack jumping down, now you have no chance of really getting a shot off on it.
Correct. I was just measuring that with Megamech. So there's 2 intervening light woods from one blackjack. There's no line of sight from the other. And even partial cover from that hunchback if he even could shoot at him. So that Nodachi is pretty safe this turn.
Yeah, these are all going to be pretty terrible shots on that Nodachi, but he's got to focus his fire to try and put it down. It's going to be kind of hard to put it down. This thing's not lightly armored. It's going to take a lucky shot.
Let's go ask the Tarantula pilot how he feels about long shots.
And I realized the part of the mindset there was you didn't want your blackjack in the field of fire from that Nodashi. But if that's your main firepower on that side, at this point you almost need it to take one for the team. Try to get some damage on that thing. Yeah, and there we see early on that Venom's coming back, so it is almost like he's collapsing everything in on that Nodashi. I just wish he'd done that, maybe a turn or 2 ago, instead of now.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think it's going to be too little too late. He should definitely have moved those little hunchbacks up, at least one of them, to right here. That way he could at least get a decent shot with that AC-20.
So I know that, and that sword is scary with all the pulse lasers, but if you get that AC-20 carrying hunchback right up on top of somebody, right in melee range, where they're hitting on short range, that is also very scary.
So
now if you have 2 of them, that's even worse.
So that AC-20, if he did land it on a side torso, which is not unreasonable, I think that's 6 and 8s on the table. If you land it on a side torso, it's going internal. There is ammo, there is 3 engines because it's an XL engine. So one AC-20 hit could easily destroy that mech.
So that's where Hunchback really shine, is in that kind of brawling area, because they're very heavily armored, big punches.
Oh, I'd almost say if you can do it, don't even fire your arm-mounted lasers. actually use those for punching, because if your AC 20 hits, you've got a lot of chances to follow up with a punch on that upper table.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Get in there, AC 20 to the face, use the small laser since it's on the head. Who knows, maybe you get a throw armor crit with a small laser, and then 2 punches. Because those punches are going to be doing the same damage as a medium laser anyways.
Correct. The only difference is you don't get -2 to hit a leg and force a PSR. But again, if you can open up the torso, yeah.
Yeah, landing some punches with a hunchback would be great, especially if you can open something with one of those AC-20s. I mean, if not, if you whiffs with the AC-20, you might as well go for the kick to try and generate the PSR.
Yeah, and 10 damage to the legs. Oh no, he went from 29 to 19. It's not too bad.
All right, looks like we're getting into this round's firing. Let's see what we got.
Looks like a lot of misses there.
Yeah, it looks like they missed pretty much everything they shot this turn, except for the Naginata, who has blown up a poor little forest, apparently. But yeah, that's definitely not what you want to see if you're Luke there. You want to put that Naginata down to prevent it from capturing the objective and getting that data.
Does he have the probe, though? I thought this was his first turn on the enemy map.
Correct, yeah. It's very likely that he'll get it this turn. There's plenty of places for him to hide.
So, to recap for anybody joining midway through, he's on the other side of the map. He finished 1 turn on the enemy map sheet. He's got to stay over there and finish a 2nd turn on the enemy map sheet. Then he has to cripple or kill, and it doesn't have to be in the same order, an enemy unit, which he's already done. So as long as that Nodachi can stay on FWLGuard's map and live this turn, then he has to get all his units to flee off of his home edge, including that Nodachi.
All right, he's starting his turn on the opponent's side. There's a couple of places for him to hide. Only maybe get a shot off by a blackjack if it jumps back to its previous position. If he goes right here, the hunchbacks and the other blackjack definitely can't get him behind that level 2 hill. He can be completely safe in a couple of positions. He can even just move up 1 hex and then drop prone, and I don't think the hunchbacks can reach him, let alone the blackjack. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on where is the best possible move. Maybe somewhere in this general vicinity, just because of he has to turn around and go back off the map.
Yeah, I think the only change I would do to your strategy is instead of going into that little nook there, I think I would just keep running straight for the corner of the map. Because now those hunchbacks can't get me. Only 1 blackjack can now get me. That venom may still be able to hit me. But I'm just gonna bury that unit in the corner, get my data, and then if it gets out, great. If it doesn't, I don't care.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, sacrificing 1 unit to guarantee you win the match isn't a bad trade.
So I was thinking of ways of being a jerk, which included, what if I legged that Nodachi? Then it can't get off the home edge. I could deny Nitro the entire objective points. Luckily, Sam's already realized that would be a problem. So any units that aren't able to flee off their home edge decreases the objective score by 10%.
There's something to be said about, winning the match outright, but in the meantime, he can go out in a blaze of glory with that Nodachi.
Absolutely, but that Nodachi might just decide to go whole ham and try to get in the rear arc of one of those hunchbacks, kill it, go out with some combat points on top of it, and because he's dead, you don't lose the points for not getting off the field.
I think it's no matter what, if you don't get the mech, it's got to be a mech, off the field, then you're going to lose points on the objective, and you'll lose combat score as well. So it's a double whammy losing mechs this time around. At least that's how I think it works. I could be wrong, but I mean, keeping your mechs alive is kind of playing the objective this time around.
We'll have to check the Discord. I don't see anything about killing units that have the probe data, but definitely something to check out because it's important to play in the spirit of the game. It's also important to play the objective. So killy is all fun, but you want to make sure that you actually pay attention to what the objective is.
Now, I'm a little confused about why that Owens decided to turn back around. I mean, he's got the Nodachi over there to get the data. He can just turn around with that Owens and head toward his map edge at this point. That Nodachi is definitely getting the data unless there's a miraculous one-shot kill this time around. But maybe he's got something else in mind. He's got some tricks up his sleeve.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that Nodachi is a really good mech to go rogue and solo with because it really doesn't need that much support.
That's what I was fixing to bring up as if as soon as he gets that data, go after the blackjacks or the venom if it's close enough. You know, just say, hey, I'm not going to worry about those hunchbacks, and if they kill me, they kill me.
Here's a fun fact. If he kicks the venom, he has one structure left on one of his torsos. That's how much damage that triple strength biomer kick is going to do. Blow the leg off, blow the armor off a side, 1 damage left. And given that he's probably going to shoot those pulses beforehand, he'll probably have nicked something somewhere.
So that's an interesting move. I'm curious why he moved the Naganita up more.
Yeah, that is a good one.
I mean, he's got him on a level 1 hill on the edge of his map. He can reach out and touch something. Maybe he's trying to snipe and back up that Nodachi with it.
Or possibly he's going, I'm not going to settle for just an objective win. I want those combat points as well, so I need to go kill some stuff.
Yeah, that's true. There's a big difference between playing to win and playing for points. He could take the easy win, but that might hurt his placement in a tournament overall.
Yeah, because you don't want to be like, yay, I won the game with 10 points, and then all of the other people in the tournament are winning like 8 to 14 or 12 to 16.
Yeah, killing one mech can make a big difference on your combat score, especially, when points are real close like that. You don't really want to take the easy win and lose out on all the combat score points. At least as far as I know, that's generally how tournaments work. You need to do a bit of both in order to get as many points and place as high as possible. At the end of the game, you could go 0-4, but still have more points than anybody else if you played 4 points and end up winning the tournament.
Talking about tournaments and points and competitions and killing makes me want to go. What movie is that? Demolition Man, or which one is Arnold Schwarzenegger going through a game show?
I think it's the Running Man.
The Running Man. All right.
Demolition Man was the in the future, no one's violent.
Also another good movie.
Yeah, they're both definitely classics.
Hey, this was released just a couple of days before my birthday. Huh.
So he is closing in with the hunchbacks now. But again, that Nodashi I think is going to move farther north and be untouchable again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he chooses to go for the easy points or turn and fight right now and just try to get the combat score.
And I don't know if you just noticed, Jesse, there, but the other Nodashi is now moved up the field within engagement range there.
Venom to rear of Nodachi.
If he goes in the rear arc of that Nodachi, he's going to have little to no TMM and be an easy target. What he needs to do is start getting across the map, either jumping straight down south or jumping behind that Owens, maybe.
Yeah, if that Venom went behind that Nodachi, the other Nodachi can just back up 6 and turn. So that is a concern. But yeah, I would like to see that Venom, the way you just said it, jump and get in those heavy woods right next to the Owens, and you know, kick or do something with it.
Yeah, that Owens has a particularly high pilot and gunnery skill, so a kick is pretty likely to put it down and keep it down because he's got like a 6 piloting, which isn't that great. You definitely need to watch out for that. I'm not sure why his pilot and gunnery skills are so high. I mean, he's got to save points somewhere, I guess, because those Nodachis are not cheap, and neither is that Naginata.
So that Owens literally just has an SRM4, a NARC, and a tag. So it's literally, along with being a C3 slave, it's literally just, I'm here to spot for the Naginata. Interesting Venom play.
Must be decided to just go for the back shot.
He's almost out of range, though.
He's probably trying to generate as much TMM as possible because right now he needs to survive. I mean, dealing damage is just a bonus at this point, at least as far as I'm concerned.
He is though in medium range for the rear lasers from the Nodachi. I don't think that's why he did it, but coincidentally he is.
And the other Nodachi moved right where you thought there, Jesty.
Yep. Now, are the Blackjacks going to try to go... Well, he's next to level 2. That Blackjack in the north would have to go pretty far north to be able to get a shot. Or the Hunchback could just kind of walk up and get on the level 2 hill there.
At this point, I think you just need to throw those Hunchbacks right in something's face. Make a beeline, keep your load, and see how long it takes you to die.
Western Hunchback didn't shoot at anything. Maybe he's just got really bad targeting numbers, even with the precision ammo.
Well, is it long range than that Nodachi, which is in woods, that ran, so yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some interesting decisions going on here. I mean, first Nitro turned around, now he's turning back around to go across the map. There's likely to be very little fire this round, or at least very little fire that's actually going to land on anything, considering line of sight and ranges from those Blackjacks.
It is impressive, though, that Nitro isn't just running off the map, though. I don't think I would have that fortitude to try to go for extra points. I'd have probably started running away.
Yeah, I can guarantee that's what I would have done. I would have just gone off the map. Don't worry about killing stuff. Take the win.
Now, I took the easy win on the first round in LVO and ended up regretting it because I didn't have enough points to catch Brad, who was in first place, no matter what I did, and ended up beating Brad going 4-0, but still not getting first in the tournament, which was a little sucky, but it is what it is. So there's definitely something to be said about going for points.
Now, just to note, the mech with the probe data doesn't actually have to escape.
Yes, that's correct. No matter what unit gets the probe data, once it has the probe data, your entire team can now either cripple them or kill a mech and then exfiltrate. You just have to get the data once with any mech, and then you're golden for the rest of the match. Whatever happens to that unit happens. It's not important whether or not it survives, so you can sacrifice it.
And we're seeing some firing lines. I see 10s and 12s to the southern Nodachi.
And that Venom is getting shot at too from the firing line of Nitro there.
So even with the C3 data from the Owens, he's going to need some pretty high target numbers because this thing just jumped for 8. Yeah, look at that. 12s and 11, I think.
This is why you buy the liquid dice in the Kickstarter like I did today. Well, if you did a Control F and search the word miss, you'd see a lot of them in this game log.
It doesn't look like anything's taken any damage from, or at least nothing significant.
Nope, doesn't look that way.
See, the Venom's armor was white before that round. That's why it's yellow. A lot of near misses, a lot of near misses painting that mech.
All right, so it looks like Luke lost initiative again. We'll see what he moves first. It'll be interesting to see if he just goes in with the Venom, which is dangerous. Although there's not really much of a rebuttal that can be offered from the Owens or the Nodachi if they decide to chase. Or maybe he'll just jump one of those blackjacks or run the hunchback up to that hill, so the Naginata. And he decides to jump the blackjack back behind some forest on a hill. I don't like that. He's gonna...
Not really. He's up on level 2 now and in woods. It's a defensive move, but he also might be trying to... He might be trying to find a line of sight. And there is line of sight between the current position of the Nodachi and that blackjack.
I guess in a defensive manner, yeah, it's a good move, but he needs points, man.
Yeah, maybe he'll get some shots off there.
The problem is that Nodachi still hasn't moved, and neither has the other one. He can just run basically straight down through all those forests and get away and have a terrible shot at long range on those blackjacks again. I'm concerned about the positioning with the blackjacks and with the hunchbacks. I mean, yeah, he's getting some shots off, but they're not connecting.
I think, personally, I probably would have put both my blackjacks up on that hill there on the right, and they may take some hits, but it'll allow them to hit both those both Nodachis or the Owens, and cover those hunchbacks to hopefully get in there and get something a nice hit in the head. That AC 20.
Oh, and he decides to leave the blackjack there. I mean, he's behind level 1 cover, which is great defensively, but he needs to get good shots on these Nodachis. He's just not doing enough damage. I'd like to see him jump or walk up. Just, get closer, get some range, maybe get some cover on the forests that are right there. Anything but standing still, because I don't think that's going to help you out.
Yeah, I just think him being so passive this game has really caused him to be in some bad positions. But having said that, I'm a very aggressive player, so it could just be my play style not lending itself well to the units he chose.
Yeah, I'm definitely an aggressive player as well, but he seems to be not giving up good shots on his mechs either, so, I mean...
Well, I mean, anybody that can, not have to open the rulebook to look at what the kicking rules are probably is pretty aggressive.
Yeah, you're right. I will give him that. He's been playing fairly defensively, and that is the name of the game. You do need to get as many mechs off the board as you can, but these blackjacks being back here, I mean, yeah, they have long range, but their skills aren't that high in order for them to stay that far back.
Well, but look at this. Look at the kill differential. Even with the loss of the Tarantula, which was a good aggressive move up front, on the kill differential, he's not lost anything. He's not even got anything in force withdrawal. He's barely been hit all game, actually. So, if it was a case of, well, crap, I'm going down anyway, let me not lose units to lose more points, is a valid strategy.
And again,
go ahead.
I was gonna say again, I think the only reason the blackjack moving backwards there to me, that I personally don't think is a good move right in this particular spot is just because, he doesn't have the data. He doesn't have any in this downfield possibly getting data. So to me, in that situation, you need to be aggressive to try to force maybe Nitro into a bad spot or into a fight where you can get all your mechs focusing in on one and try to start hammering those Nodachis down.
Now, this is when we find out that secretly he's not backing him up. He's about to make a mad dash with the Venom and be in prime position to exfiltrate.
Those blackjacks can each jump for 4, so he should have no trouble exfiltrating.
True.
And the Nodachi moves up. I'd like to see him move those hunchbacks right up into his face. I mean, there's really no reason not to. Get those AC 20s going. Just walk right up there and then move that one right there and double kick him in the face.
You know what? You can do 6 to get 1 hunchback on the level 1 directly in front. and you can do 6 to get another one to his upper left, and have 2 kicking chances for 10 points of damage. And again, that's an XL engine on that Nodachi. 2 AC20s with precision and 2 10 damage kicks with -2. Yeah.
Oh, and Luke moves his hunchback up, but not far enough. I don't like that move at all.
Oh, but why not? Because yes, it's +1, but you also have 1 or maybe 2 intervening woods now. Yeah, it's 1 intervening wood, I guess, because it's split either way, so you don't double up. But the only reason that I can think of that is a decent move is to avoid the sword hitting you back and taking out a leg.
So that's probably what he's afraid of, is that sword coming back. But I would almost be willing to give, roll the dice, I guess, to say, in a quite literal sense, to see if that sword's gonna hit and take the leg. Because I can get both hunchbacks up there. That's 2 AC20 chances, 4 medium lasers, 2 small lasers, and 2 kicks, all on one mech. And there he moved the other Nodashi up, so that's going to turn into the scrum there.
Yeah, that was a good move by Nitro, covering his other Nodachi, making that particular hex very dangerous to be in.
And at this point, I think I would actually switch targets from the one Nodashi, which is only lightly damaged anyways, to the one that just ran up.
Yeah, at this point, he's going to have better shots on that particular Nodachi with the blackjacks as well. I'd say go for it. Throw all your fire into that one that just moved up.
Mm-hmm.
So the fresh one has a modifier of 2. The unfresh one, again, like you said, isn't really that hurt, has a modifier of 1 plus woods. So the only real difference here is the Hunchback 5N has a 1 easier to shoot against, or maybe 2 easier to shoot against the newcomer.
Well, he does have that precision ammo, so that might be his best shot right there.
Right, and if precision was shooting at the semi-minorly damaged one, it's only going to reduce it by 1. Go for the kick.
So he's going to go for that kick.
Well, if it's a 10 damage kick, if he does roll the head, it's a critical hit chance.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I guess Luke can go for broke here. Shoot an AC-20 at each of them. They don't have 20 armor in each of their center torso, or in their left and right torso. So depending on if and where he lands those AC-20 shots, he could go internal on these and cause some real problems for Nitro.
I like your suggestion of the one that has less than 20. So if you do hit and you roll a 6 or an 8, you at least go internal on something with those XL engines and ammo.
Now, it's kind of curious that the Owens is moving up even further. I mean, I guess he's trying to get that targeting data for the Naginata and I guess the Panther. But now it's just a free run for that Venom. He can just keep jumping and or do a straight flat run along the edge there to get onto his opponent's board.
Jump, and go for the data. Be real tempting to finish off that Owens, but...
Yeah, especially considering how tanky that little bugger is. At this point, he's better off going for the objective points.
Well, he could get in the rear arc, but it's not a great modifier he would get.
Let's see, it's got a run of 12.
But it's going to take 3 just to turn around.
Yeah, it'll put it 1 hex out. So I'd almost say jump your 8 this turn, and you can do your spin midair.
He
looks like he ran.
Yeah. I'd have jumped for the +1.
Yeah, I agree with you there. That Venom needs all the TMM it can get because speed is currently its life. I mean, maybe you're setting up for something next turn, but I don't think it's worth it.
Nah, so if he needs 10s in medium range, and all of his units are in medium range, so if he needed 10s for the master computer, he's going to be shooting on 10s, which would have been 11s if he had jumped.
This could get interesting if that Venom can get back there, and depending on how these hunchbacks do up here, if they
Yeah, the game is definitely not decided yet. There's still a lot that could go wrong for Nitro and a lot that could go right for Luke. As it stands now, Nitro definitely has the upper hand.
You know, and I'd almost see about maybe indirect firing with that one blackjack. I believe that's the dual LRM 21.
Now, that may give him better target numbers with the blackjack, but it's going to give him worse target numbers with that hunchback. And I'd rather have better target numbers on that AC-20 than an LRM-20 any day of the week. But you never know. Throwing all that fire down from far away, that's 2 LRM-20s versus 1 AC-20. It could end up being more damage if it does connect with both. But I don't think that the target numbers are going to be that significant. Why not just shoot the other one on the south side? That way, you're probably going to have even better target numbers than you would if you went indirect on the other one.
I still think it might be worth just unloading everything into the one, try to force PSR. See there, he's splitting his fire. Yes, I think I would have put even all the blackjacks and everything onto the one mech.
All right, now, where do you see fire being split?
Oh, I think he means the 2 hunchbacks shooting at separate Naginatas. Probably just throw them both onto the same one as a...
Oh, I'm with you. Realistically, I'd have probably made the same choice. Those 2 hunchbacks are trying to put down the one Nodachi, and the 2 blackjacks can't see it. So I get what you're saying about focus fire on the one. But man, 1 AC-20 is all you need to get through. It's hard not to be tempted by that.
We're getting into firing, and oh no, looks like he missed with the AC-20. Oh.
And he misses with the second, too.
Man, that is devastating. He really needed those to hit, at the bare minimum, one of them.
Well, you know who didn't? The Nodachi. It scored quite a few hits and might force a PSR there. Well, look at that. He did force the PSR, and that Hunchback 5N is on the floor. Also impressive is Nitro is maintaining 9 heat consistently. He's not forgetting, and that's important because they've been playing for a while now, and fatigue starts setting in, and you'll start forgetting those things.
Well, Nitro has his data, and he can safely pull back with all of his units if he chooses to, or he can continue brawling with these hunchbacks. Granted, one of them's on the floor, not in great condition, but they're still fairly dangerous with their AC-20s. So, looks like he's pulling that one back in particular. And, I don't like that the blackjack is standing still. Move it up, move it back, do something with it.
He may have decided he's out of time.
It's a little too soon for him to be out of time. We're not that far. We're about halfway through the game, maybe. Maybe on turn 8, turn 9, I'm not sure. But he's definitely got enough time to turn back and make it to his edge after another turn or two of jumping forward, I think. I mean, you could always turn around and then run after that. Yeah, we're only at turn 8, so there's plenty of time still.
Yeah, he's got enough.
It may also be that he felt that he pushed all his units forward to try to get his one unit out. He wasn't as, I guess, as ruthless as we are, just sacrificing his soldier to the meat grinder there, and he wanted to get his man out. And now that he sees the light there, he may start retreating everything.
Yeah, that is true. Nitro should be starting to turn all of his units around to get him off the board. He can win this objective easily, and he can also throw it away if he sticks around for too long.
Now, wouldn't that be something, though? That Venom scores, retreats, everybody gets off field, and then you lose the objective when you had it 5 turns prior.
Well, Luke still needs to score by crippling or destroying an enemy mech, so he can't really exfiltrate yet. He's got to devote time and firepower to killing something. Maybe jump that Venom. I don't know about if you go into that same hex where the Tarantula died. Bad omens over there, I guess.
See the Venom pilot go, what the hell happened here?
Yeah, at this point, Luke needs to start trying to deal some damage, even with the Venom maybe. Jump it toward one of the, either the Panther or that Naginata. Maybe get some rear shots and get a lucky ammo explosion on it. Who knows? But he definitely needs to start moving these units up in the north. Get that hunchback up and either get it chasing that Nodachi or turn it around and get it off the map. One or the other.
So those blackjacks have jump jets, so they'll be able to just jump off field within 4 turns. Small aside, thank you, Sarna. Those blackjacks came about from St. Ives, which we never hear anything from, swapping technology with the Draconis Combine at Luthien.
So Luke did opt to jump that venom into that hidey hole where the tarantula died, so he should be perfectly safe this turn. And once he just sits there and gets his data, he can start thinking about, jumping out and maybe getting some rear arcs now that he's got the first part of the objective completed. He needs to get the second part of the objective. Now, the big question is, does Nitro fall back, or does he go for the brawling points and get more kills?
I guess we gotta wait and see if it is gonna be a full retreat.
That would be something, because the Owens and the Dachi are fine. There would basically be a race of the Naganita versus the Hunchbacks.
Yeah, Luke cannot bail yet. He's still stuck here. So, he can start setting up for it, but it's not going to do him that much good.
Oh, that's right. He hasn't killed anything or crippled anything.
Now, Luke's starting to run out of options for completing the first part of the objective, the kill or cripple. Maybe he goes for the Owens. Maybe he chases the Nodachis with a Hunchback. I'm not sure what the play is here.
So, Venom to the rear of the Owens, 1 medium pulse laser into a 6, 7, or 8 roll, goes internal. You got a chance at crippling there.
Well, the Owens did a little loop-de-loop there.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice. The Owens is fast, so I'm not worried about it getting off the map, but turning back around to give piloting data, I guess, for the Naginata and the Panther, when you've got a problem closer to home that you could get closer to your board edge with, I think that might be the better play. Although there is something to be said about covering your retreat with some supporting fire. I'm not entirely sure.
This is, we've talked about it a few times in the previous casts. This is when it would be good to hear from the players so we can go, okay, what were you doing? Because we couldn't figure that out. You obviously had a strategy, but we couldn't figure it out. So here's another thought. FWLGuard is a better player, but it's almost like he's lining up those blackjacks and hunchbacks on the assumption that the Nodachi had already moved.
He's been we've been kind of talking a lot about his more defensive minded tactics here tonight, but really Mega Mech has not been kind to him either with his dice rolls. So he's gotten a lot of misses that shouldn't have been misses. You can never control the dice gods, but he's got a lot of misses that probably would have been hits or something similar to that. Especially with those blackjacks at the range they're shooting. A lot of misses from him tonight.
Yeah, that's true. The blackjacks have been hanging back, but snipers are only going to get as good as shots as they can line up for themselves. Those hunchbacks are still dangerous right now. I think they've got precision ammo left.
So you were right about those hunchbacks. They both have a shot of precision left, and they both have short and medium range to a Nodachi. So I think you're right about that. They're lining up a shot, and I would go after the damaged one just because lighter torso armor.
Yeah, Luke is definitely still in this. He can definitely bring down that Nodachi with those AC-20s and the fire from the blackjacks if he gets some decent numbers and actually hits with them.
And there is ammo in that torso, so we got 8s already on a blackjack. Return fire on that hunchback, he needs 5s and 6s from the Panther and Naginata.
Wow, that is a really low target number. Are you sure he's not targeting the Hex? That seems... Damn, that's C3 in action, I guess.
No, it's the hunchback.
Now, I do find it interesting that he's firing with those blackjacks first before the hunchbacks with those AC-20s. That's kind of the reverse order in the way you want to go about it. You want to, use your can opener first and then use your spoon to scoop out the goodies.
And I think we want to take a moment to, when we're talking about firing order, especially in Mega Mech, the order that you tell your units to fire is the order that they shoot in. So if you're shooting the LRMs first, and while they're still armor, they won't be as effective as if you do your AC-20 first. I think is what Jesse's trying to get back, and maybe some players don't quite realize how that works.
All right, getting into the firing phase. It looks like some of those AC-20s are hitting, going a little internal there, but not getting any crits. The other AC-20 hits the leg, so those blackjacks are going to have a hard time keeping up, as will those hunchbacks. I think those Nodachis are just going to be gone.
Yeah, it's okay though. Those blackjacks may not be able to catch him. The Venom will be able to catch him on his return flight. And he wins initiative, so he's got a chance at it.
But during that turn, did he go internal on 3 different locations?
He's internal on the left torso only.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's real close to getting that Nodachi into force withdrawal. He just needs to burrow into either that center or right torso, preferably the right torso. I think there's less armor there.
And isn't it 3 limbs or 2 torsos, but not necessarily a combination of?
Yes. Well, it's internal damage on 3 locations, so 3 limbs, or it could be both torsos. Or it could be 1 torso and 2 limbs.
I thought it was a mix and match, but I don't read, so.
And the only time it's not is if you have internal damage on 2 torsos.
And it's front only. It doesn't matter if you got a rear torso exposed.
Yeah, because it's internal damage. So even if you have no armor on the back, as long as that damage doesn't go internal, you're fine.
Gotcha.
All right, finally, we've got the blackjack moving up. I think it's a few turns too late, but I guess better late than never. I want to see him move the other one up right behind it. That way he can get some better lines of fire on these retreating Nodachis and Owens. Who knows, maybe you'll get a lucky 3 armor crit and blow something up or get an engine crit. You need some luck to go your way in order to destroy something. You can't rely on the Venom to survive long enough to take out the rear armor of an Nodachi or go straight into its face and try and get the right torso internal. I mean, that's just too much RNG to be realistic. I'd really like to see him move that Venom up and get in the rear of that Naginata. I mean, he's got to do something, and a Hail Mary at this point is probably going to be his best bet.
Or try to put some hurt on the Panther while the Naginata can't turn back.
Nitro is getting his units out.
I think there was an oh shit moment.
Yeah, I think that he already has his objective secured, so at this point, might as well just get everyone out. And if you keep them alive, and if not, then maybe you can get off the board first.
Okay, I don't like this jump on the blackjack. Yeah, you need to get closer, but getting down to level 0 isn't going to do you any good when there's that many forests in the way. You're not going to have any line of sight. He could have gone over here. I mean, he's got line of sight down there, but all he has to do is just stay west of that forest and he's perfectly safe. Panther moves up a little bit. I don't know if that's the play. I think you need to start jumping back toward your home edge. That Panther is not that fast. It's only got like a 4 jump or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I would almost at this point trying to be getting that Naginata heading back towards the map edge as well.
Yeah, that Naginata is not fast, and it can't jump, so he's going to have to be careful with his positioning to not let that Venom in his rear arc.
Well, the Naginata has 8s and 12s on the rear torsos, so 2 pulse lasers to the same location would start rolling crits.
Yeah, which is not great because there's definitely some ammo in there. So he could go boom real quick and end up in force withdrawal, giving Luke the second objective.
Yeah, it's got LRM ammo in both of its side torsos, but it does have case, so.
Another one designed by the Drax specifically for I'm heavily armored, I'm a C3 master, I can just sit here and be safe and pop LRMs everywhere.
Yeah, and Nitro's doing it right. He's got his C3 master in the back, lobbing fire from afar, and he's got a little bodyguard for it to deal with pesky little jumpers like this Venom.
Did did Luke forget which team the Venom was on?
Yeah, that's an interesting move. He didn't jump for all that far, but he is pretty safe from the Naginata and the Panther currently. That Nodachi looks like it's way out of range. Yeah, would like to see him maybe move up, move to the right, laterally, start getting closer, closing the gap onto some things that he can actually hit. But, I mean, it's a defensive play, and that's seems to be his MO, seems to be a defensive player. Going further into enemy territory to get the data, I don't know if he's going to have enough time to make it off the enemy map.
4 turns, because you have to hit the edge, and then the next turn you can flee. So he would need 4 turns plus 1 to flee.
Oh man, does he have enough time to make it back? I'm not sure what turn we're on.
And we're on round 10, so... And Nitro might be going, you know what? I got more rear armor than I do front armor. I'm going to show my rear to those blackjacks if they can even follow me.
Yeah, I think he's perfectly fine just turning around and booking it toward his home edge. He's running out of time. He's only got 4 turns left to make it to the edge because you need that 5th turn to get off the map. So hopefully he'll make it in time. I mean, this is cutting it down to the wire.
Well, in a run 4 with a gunnery 3 pilot at long range, you're at 10s, and he walked 11s. It's going to be 11s on those LRM 20s.
Did he move his hunchback backwards?
Yeah, I think so. Don't know if I agree with it.
I do. He's retreating, and that hunchback was hit pretty rough.
Yeah, but he still needs to try and take as many shots as he can to bring something down or crippled.
Oh, right, because he hasn't actually fulfilled the objective yet. He's going for the Hail Mary somehow.
So looks like Free World's League only option here is to really try to get those long range shots with the Owens. Maybe on that one, it'd have to be on that one no dash that he's already hit.
It's interesting watching them both make, opposite choices and opposite tactics. Like one's playing conservatively, one's playing fairly aggressively, and it's just a nice little dichotomy we got going on here.
Well, that might be a reason why, either their availability just matches up, or that might be a reason why they enjoy playing each other, is because their play styles are so different. And as much as we've been criticizing the defensive-ness coming from a bunch of aggressive Warhawks, fact is, it's still anybody's game as long as Luke can pop that torso on that Nodachi.
Yeah, this game is far closer than it may appear. Yeah, Nitro got an early lead with that Tarantula kill, but that was on some really lucky shots. It could have gone a lot differently if he didn't hit that boxcars on the Tarantula early on. This game is far from over, even though there's only 5 turns left.
Let's see. Naginata scrapes some of that Blackjack's armor off, but that's kind of the only thing of note here.
Yeah, I think for Free World League there, to start backing your units up at this point. And that way, if you do happen to get the cripple with the Venom, all your units will be close to your home edge.
Ooh, okay, he backed up the Naginata. I think he's going to have to leave that Naginata stranded. I don't think he's got enough time to get it off the map with 4 turns remaining. He needs 3 to get to the edge and 1 more to get off. That Naginata's stranded, so he's definitely going to take the score penalty for that.
He's not turning backwards with it, so he's going to have to take a 10% penalty to the objective score.
And thinking back on the whole match, there really hasn't been a whole lot of destruction. You lost the one tarantula early on, but besides that, you had that little bit of a combat, and you had where Free Worlds League finally caught one of those no dachis of Nitros, and was able to actually land a hit. The dice actually gave it to him that time. But there really hasn't been a whole lot of combat, a whole lot of missing from both sides.
Yeah, the blackjack's staying at standoff range, and the C3 coming into play, giving some decent numbers. But I mean, it's still been long shots most of this match, and
Well, that's part of the fun of doing objective-based missions. Is it isn't just straight up explosions. There's actual thought and considerations, and the positioning becomes important. So, like King of the Hill is going to probably combine both of those, but it's still a positional game, just like this one is very positional. Like, oh no, your backstabbers are not just backstabbers, they're now also objective runners.
all right, it's all going to come down to this Venom of Luke's. He needs to be real careful with his positioning. Don't really want to get into melee unless you can get in that rear arc. You got to be real careful with him.
Well, all it takes is one kick, to force that piloting check, and you fall, and now that mecha's in some serious trouble. So charging in with the blackjacks, but he retreated last turn with the hunchback.
Yeah, this is a fairly confusing move. I mean, I get the hunchbacks running away, but the blackjacks don't really need to be charging at this point. There's too many forests to get any shots off at level 0. Just a odd, mismatch with the movement between his two types of units, the blackjacks and the hunchbacks. At this point, he should probably just get them all off the map and toward that edge and put all his eggs into the Venom basket.
Well, if he chose to move them forward, he's not going to be able to catch Nitro if Nitro chooses to retreat off the edge. So you may as well start running them, but you would turn them around and run backwards at that point.
Yeah, you would probably want to jump those blackjacks over to the right edge of the map and then just run straight up for 2 to 3 turns, however long it's going to take you to get to that edge.
Could be seeing them finish up their movement here.
He just needs to get off the field and not lose to that Venom's pulse lasers in the process. Oh, there goes the other blackjack going forward.
All right, now it looks like he's completely just given up on winning the match with that move, moving that blackjack up. Now he just needs to hope he can get some decent shots on something, either that Nodachi, the Naginata, whatever.
They need 8s, so as long as they shoot in a good order, they should be able to.
Now, I would love to see that Venom go and charge that Nodachi off the edge. It's a risky play, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Oh, Lord, no.
I was going to say, and an honest answer, if you're trying to win the objective, no. If this were me playing, then I probably would, yes.
He's going for trying to get the... Oh, and he almost tagged the Venom. He's going for, I guess, trying to get through the Owens' armor, but you're going to need at least 3 hits with those pulse lasers to do so to the same location.
Yeah, I'm a little confused as to why he jumped instead of just walking there. He would have had a much less to hit number.
No. Look at it. Look at what he jumped. Look at why he jumped. Look further down. No, hover over the mech is what I mean.
Oh, holy shit, he DFA'd.
At this point,
Should have DFA'd the Nodachi, though, because he's not going to be able to do enough damage that Venom doesn't weigh that much. This is called, they already said, you know what, game's over.
yeah, I think I would have still DFA'd the no Daiashi if you're going to go that route. Just to see if I got the kill. I've been shooting this thing all the game. I just want to see if I can kill it.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta pull a "I'm gonna get you, sucker," and just go for that one mech that's been bugging you and kill it.
So, but I can get that way. You can ask Pirate when we've played. I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna lose, but this mech needs to die.
We've both done that. You've seen my assassin try the same on you.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the Venom is a lower piloting, yeah, piloting of 2, right?
Oh, look at that blackjack though. 3 armor crit on the life support. Is that a force withdrawal mechanism?
No, I don't think so. Maybe if he got both life support critical slots, or if he only had one and he lost it, he would be in force withdrawal. But I think he's perfectly fine with only the one hit. Now, the big question is, does the Venom land the DFA?
He does it.
Now, wait a minute. I thought the getting hit by a DFA and falling down a hill means that the Owen automatically falls. I mean, he drops down to lower elevation.
Nope, because it was only 1 hex. You don't fall unless it's 2 minimum. But I guess it's not a force withdrawal modifier. That Nodachi is still got the red pip.
Okay, and now he's moving the blackjacks back again. I think it's too late to get him off the board anyways.
But at this point, even with moving the blackjacks forward, can he keep up with the Nodachi? You know, could he even have a shot this turn, even if he moved the blackjacks forward?
No, I think you're right. I think there's too much terrain in the way between the forests and the hills. I don't think it's going to make a difference. I mean, what do you think is the play now? I mean, he survived the DFA, but now what?
I mean, sacrifice the Venom, get some left armor or left torso shots.
You know, depending on where he moves that Nodachi, you might be able to push it off the map edge.
Oh, or DFA it off the map edge, apparently. Because it's a 5 pilot, so with a 2, you're at a +3. Is it a 5 pilot or is it a 4 pilot? Yeah, but still, you're at a +2. That cancels out most of your jumping penalty.
Yeah, there's a real chance that he can make a big difference with either a charge, a DFA, or a push, just getting a fresh mech off the board and scoring that second part of the objective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, given the 3 options, which one would you go for?
The push just gives you a -1 on the check, right?
I think
it's
so,
yeah. So it's a little safer option for displacement. Yeah.
But charging doesn't take in the skill differential, though, and it's still +1 for charging, I think.
Yeah, but charging's got to be better than a DFA.
True.
Yeah, there's always the chance that during the charge, he'll get a leg shot out from under him and not be able to complete it.
That's what happens to me. Must be clan players.
Yeah, that's true. Clan players get a cheat and have all the best stuff and roll all the 12s ever. Game's easy.
Just
So
roll 12s.
Yeah, just roll 12s. So he's finally, looks like he's finally turned around the Naginata. Everything's turned tail and it's finally been actually moving off the board.
I think it might be too little too late. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have enough time to make it off with all that terrain in the way.
Yeah, I'm counting. He needs at least 6 turns to get off the map, and he doesn't have 6 turns.
In that case, you should have left him up on this little sniper spot up here so we can at least cover the other unit's retreat.
Venom's going for it. It's going to go try to hit the back of that Owens.
I mean, that's a ballsy move, but I mean, that's probably his best chance to get something in force withdrawal.
Although he is on the left side table for that Nodachi.
So would that be shooting all the pulse lasers at the Nodachi and then maybe a kick on the Owens, or go everything at the Owens?
I'd probably prefer throwing everything at the Owens. You're more likely to blow out a torso. Because right now he only has the first 20% objective points, or maybe it's 30.
Well, and if he blows out a torso, that would kill the Owens because it's a Intersphere XL engine.
Hey, so then you get some combat score there. He needs 6s to hit, which is still surprising. It's because he jumped. And
That hit.
he did hit the Owens, but he hit the legs. Didn't
Hit.
die, though.
Now comes the kick.
Correct.
Oh, he went for punches on 7s and misses one. Oh, man.
Yeah, the dice have been unkind.
Notice one of the Nodachis didn't get to 9 heat this turn, either as an oversight or he thinks he doesn't need it in order to get off the map.
I mean, it is getting pretty late, so it might have been a misplay, but I'm sure he'll have plenty of speed to make it to the end of the map. These things are pretty quick as is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there goes the first one already. He'll be getting off the map next turn for sure. Blackjack moves up a bit, getting some more distance and getting closer to that board edge. Second Nodachi moves down. He'll be on the edge next turn. He's definitely getting off the map next round. Hunchback's starting to move back, but a little too late at this point. I don't think they're going to make it anywhere near that edge in time. I kind of would still love to see him take that Venom and charge one of those Nodachis or push him off the map or whatever. That would be hilarious, getting one right before it's about to score.
So everyone remembers the first time they get pushed off the map.
Shared
definitely one of
community
those,
trauma.
So definitely one of those, wait, you can do that?
When do I come back on?
Yeah.
That's the neat part. You don't.
Yeah, I think we're just going to see these guys just backing off now.
Yeah, we're getting to the point where the game's pretty much going to play itself out. The only X factor is going to be this Venom and what he decides to do with it. I'm real interested to see. Whoa, okay, there goes the Owens. I wonder if he's going to stick to the rear arc. But I'd still love to see him go for getting that Nodachi off the board edge. I mean, it's a brand new, untouched Nodachi.
So nothing like having a fresh mech destroyed instantly.
Now notice because he's got that hip hit, he needs to start doing a lot more PSRs when he jumps.
Yeah, every time he jumps or runs, I think he's going to have to make a piloting skill roll. But since he's a 2 pilot, he only needs like a 4, even with a hip hit, which isn't terrible.
Right, we're at round 14 now. So I think the only thing that can get off the map actually is going to be that one Naginata.
The Naginata or the Nodachi?
Oh, I meant Naginata, I'm sorry. I meant Nodachi, because the Nodachi can flee next turn. Everything else has to hit the home edge, but then they can't flee because there is no extra turn. Pretty sure this is turn 14. Oh, I'm sorry. This is turn 13.
So if they can hit the edge this turn.
Yeah, so 14 they can hit the edge, 15 they can flee.
Okay, so that means he'll be able to get both Nodachis out for sure, and maybe the Owens, unless it gets taken down this turn. And I don't think the Panther can make it.
Correct. And the corpse of the Owens, we hope.
Maybe the dice will give him this one.
Yeah, I mean, the dice won't always say no. Eventually they're going to say yes, and hopefully this is it. This is the turn they need to hit, and they need to cause some real damage.
Well, and funnily enough, his blackjacks only jumped 4. Okay. They're trying, but they're not going to have enough time. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Hey!
Oh, holy shit. He got him. Persistence pays off. Oh, man, if only he would have been running those blackjacks and hunchbacks toward the edge, he could have won, because Nitro stranded 2 of his units out and didn't get them all the way to the edge. This was really damn close.
It's okay, little Venom. You did what you needed to.
Yeah, unfortunately, that Venom is definitely going to pay the ultimate price for that objective point. But, I mean, it's well worth it, if you ask me.
Yeah, get that Naginata up one level so you can shoot the Venom, everything else flee.
I mean, you might as well turn around and take as many shots as you can. The Panther, the Nodachi, that's still going to be out here. Maybe leave the other one on the board for another turn just to get more shots and make sure that Venom dies.
Look at that Panther. Panther's not going to make it.
Wait, what turn is it? I mean, he's 2 hexes shy.
This is 14 now because we're in movement phase.
They were in movement of 14.
Oh shit, so that means the Panther and the Naginata are both going to be stranded. But on the other end, Free World League is going to be stranded with both of his Hunchbacks and both of his Blackjacks. I think the objective win is still going to go to Nitro.
Mm.
Okay, now, for Luke, I can kind of see, hey, I needed to get as many shots off as I could to try and bring something down because I didn't have the second objective, and counting on the Venom was a long shot. But Nitro really has no excuse for leaving that Panther and the Naginata stranded, realistically. He had plenty of time to turn them back around and start running to the edge early.
And that's easy to do when you get in the heat of combat. Sometimes you get tunnel vision on killing and forget about, oh wait, there's still a mission going on.
That's back to that battlefield fatigue I was talking about.
Yeah, this game has been going on for 2.5 hours. It's hard to maintain focus for that long and not have something slip up. Little mistakes can happen, like miscalculating how many turns it's going to take you to get to the edge, or forgetting about the objective and stuff like that.
Well, there's a lot of red. The Naginata only needed 3s, and you don't even need to look to see the result as the Venom is dead. Alright, last turn. So Nodachi is good, and that means that there will be a 20% penalty to Nitro for the objective score, and Luke won't be able to make the objective score. So this one will be pretty close on combat, slightly in Nitro's favor, but then Nitro wins 50% more objective points. So he's going to carry the victory just because of that.
Yeah, and there it is. Game is over, and it was a lot closer than it may have looked. Yeah, Nitro had an early lead, but it was not a big lead, and with Luke could have definitely closed the gap and won this. It was real close.
This is where they all say, wait, I thought we had one more turn.
And it, in practice games like this, not moving those Hunchbacks isn't as big of a deal. But
Yeah, but I mean, that's a lot of points he's leaving on the board for slight miscalculations. Both players, actually.
yes, that's what I was trying to bring up, is that during tournament, when you get later into these games, you have to kind of start thinking meta-wise. Where am I at? What will get me the most points? How can I set myself up for my next game? And that just comes with experience, playing in more tournaments and actually being there.
And it's also objective tournaments because you can be really good at killing stuff, but then as soon as you throw in those objectives, it's almost like playing a different game.
Mm-hmm. Unless you play chip.
Unless you play chip, in which case you're just going with, I need to take one of your mechs off of you, and then I'm satisfied.
But overall, I think that was a great game, and very even matched.
Yeah, like I said earlier, this game could have definitely gone either way. Nitro had a lead, but Luke could have capitalized on a couple of moments, and the dice just didn't go in his favor. He could have definitely put down one of those Nodachis earlier if the dice rolled a little better for him, or at least crippled it, so he wouldn't have had to take that Venom all the way down there and stay down there. He could have made the return trip and maybe gotten more points. All right, let's go ahead and get our players back into the call and see how they feel about how this match went down. So what do you think, Luke? It was real close there, but how do you think the match went?
Loads of fun, honestly. Just absolutely a blast.
I'm not gonna lie, I was on my toes the entire time, and I had boatloads of fun. Made me think a lot.
Me too.
Well, that's great to hear. It was a fun match to watch as well. That's exactly why we're all here in the MRC, to have really good games like this. And they came down to the wire. Luke, how do you feel about your positioning? You seem to be playing a little defensively throughout most of the match.
That is true. I was kind of worried that he was going to perhaps do something strange with his Nodachi and try to go attack my Rangers and do something like that. So yeah, in hindsight, that's what I was thinking as well. I should have turned my Hunchbacks back and sent them packing, but unfortunately, no points there.
Hindsight's 2020. So this ain't the judging table, and we were talking about too. That's a 3-hour game. Fatigue starts setting in real fast on a few of those things.
Yep.
Indeed.
How do you feel about the match, Morning? You think it took too long?
No. I think it was a really close match, and both players played really well, and it's always interesting to see tactics from other pairs outside of where I normally play, because I play with a lot of really aggressive people like Pirate, so that's what I'm used to. I think there were some plays on both sides that some missed positioning on both sides, but they also both sides had some good positioning on different opportunities and stuff like that. So
Yeah, definitely some different tactics. A little too defensive for my taste, but it just goes to show people play differently.
and you always take what someone tells you on how to play with a grain of salt, because they may not play the way you play. So there is no one right way to play.
So how do you guys feel about your lists? Are there any changes you might make, units you might swap out, or things you have been considering for your list? Or anything you might do differently next time?
I don't know. Honestly, it's just it was just a thrill to play. What would I change? Yeah, I don't think I would change anything.
I don't think I would change anything in my list at this point in time. It works well the way that I play it, and I feel like I can do a few things better in the battlefield itself. But other than that, yeah,
Me
I
too,
wouldn't change
yeah.
any of the units.
Yeah, it's like tactic wise, maybe I'd change, but then like list wise, no.
One thing is, we don't have a ton of more defensive-minded players. So it was a real pleasure seeing you position, Luke, because we were like, okay, why didn't he just go up and kick that guy in the fucking face? You know, so seeing you at the end where you actually had most of your team left, where Warning or I or Justy would have probably lost most of our mechs because we're like, we've lost the game anyway. In tournaments, it is important to not lose on the kill differential as well. So it's really interesting seeing the way that you were playing, whether that was intentional or not. And then Nitro, you kind of played the way that I would play, which is real aggressive there. When I saw those Nodachis, I was like, yeah, I know what's going to happen here. So seeing y'all with very different play styles was actually very interesting.
All right, everybody. I think we're going to call it here. That was a hell of a marathon and a hell of a game. So everybody go ahead and say thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the opportunity. It was a pleasure.
Yes. Thank you very much.
I was told to say thank you and goodbye.
Thank you and goodbye.
All right, thank you, everyone. And we'll see you next time with another MRC cast. Good night.